Well, that is the end of the match. Paul Tierney's whistle, and it is a quite brilliant victory. You just felt that today was a day that City had to just come here, find a way to win, and head back to Manchester. And they've done exactly that. The first half was a little bit pedestrian, a little bit stale at times, but a tactical tweak at half-time by Pep Guardiola, and it made a big difference. City started to create chances, Ake hit the post, and then the moment of genius, a swapping of the wingers. He brought off Foden, he brought off Bernardo Silva, he brought on Mahrez, he brought on Grealish, and the two of them within minutes combined for the game's only goal, scored by Riyad Mahrez, set up by Jack Grealish, and the Blues had enough to hold on and repel Chelsea attacks. It's been a magnificent performance from City. Don't underestimate its significance either. They've cut the gap at the top to Arsenal to 5 points, and although there's an FA Cup break and a Carabao Cup break, that is a huge result ahead of the league Manchester derby against United a week on Saturday. But let's just dwell on this one. A brilliant victory for the Blues. Riyad Mahrez with the only goal. Chelsea 0, City 1. Well, let's go back to the studio where I'm sure everyone is delighted, not least of whom Natalie Pike.
Big thank you there to Alistair Mann and to Michael Brown. You're absolutely right, Ali. I'm delighted. I could barely watch there at the end, but I'm absolutely thrilled in what is a huge victory for City as they beat Chelsea in the Premier League tonight, 1-0. And what a significant second half that could be. Do you know what as well? I absolutely was seeing Erling Haaland celebrate there. I love celebrating Erling Haaland, like he really passionately, like properly goes for it. I love it. You can see what it means to him. So I'm still joined in the studio by David, Alex and by Shaun. I'm going to catch my breath for a second and go over to the guests. Shaun, how important is this victory?
Wow, I mean, it was a huge victory. It just shows how, the guys had to dig deep today, and they really did. I really want to talk about, I know you got a number of things you need to discuss, but one, I have to say, Pep Guardiola, what a manager. The fact, I mean, he sees things that we don't see. And we were sitting there trying to think, oh, what's he going to do? He's going to make this adjustment, that adjustment. And he just makes some moves, and it just changes our game. And we just played really on the front foot, in the face, dominated, bossing it. And it was a good game because they were really going for it as well. So, and Rico coming on. I know we're going to go into all of that, but a brilliant performance by the boys and got that clean sheet.
Right, let's get straight into it because those substitutions were extremely significant in the game. We saw Rico and we saw Akanji warming up during half-time. We wondered if they were coming on. They did. So the defensive lineup completely changed in that second half. How did that affect the game, Alex?
It affected it massively. I think first and foremost it proves that Pep's not scared of making the big decisions. And the two lads who went off, I think they'll be disappointed, but he had to change it. We thought he'd give it 5 or 10 minutes, maybe push Rodri forward just to see how we go. But, he then changed it again 20 minutes after that, and that was the big change where sort of Grealish in particular laid a great ball across for Mahrez. Two lads who came on, scored the goals.
Yeah, so we had the defensive changes and then the attacking changes that Alex just mentioned there, David. Jack Grealish and Riyad Mahrez. So effectively, the 4 changes that he made at the start of the game, he remade in the second half, which then is what had such a huge effect. Talk to me about the changes with Grealish and Mahrez and the significance of those 2 changes.
Yeah, I thought they were the interest. I mean, yeah, we didn't anticipate the changes at half-time. The setup change was made, which we were talking about, Rodri going in the midfield. But Grealish coming on because Foden was capable of doing what Grealish was doing. So in a sense, I think we were all surprised by that. But when you make substitution and then one passes to the other and scores, and Mahrez, funny enough, second goal of the season, which surprised Shaun before the show because I think Shaun thought he'd scored 3 or 4. Yeah. Second goal of the season, but he's actually in his best spell. He's looking lively. He's looking up for it. He's looking happy. The ball in from Grealish, big question mark. Me and Al looked at each other about Kepa. Should he have dived across? Cucurella did what he did for all the time that he was on the pitch, was possibly City's best player. Unfortunately for Cucurella, he was up against wingers in Cancelo in that first half and then Mahrez in the second half who were causing loads of problems. But like you said, Pep made the big changes, got the big impact and ultimately got the 3 points. Clean sheet as well. Buzzing. Why John Stones didn't score, I don't know.
But man of the match?
That'll do.
I found interesting in regards to, I thought Cancelo had the beating of Cucurella. And that was one, and I thought he'd be going in and saying, this is one of the areas where we can get some joy and success. And that was one I did not see. But he brought him off.
But what was interesting about those half-time subs as well, he's taken off two right-sided players.
Yeah.
And then effectively put in a left and right-sided player. So it wasn't just like for like in position, and that allowed Mahrez to go further forward. And I think that was a problem with Cancelo. He wasn't far enough forward, and he wasn't really defending. Yeah. So he was kind of stuck in that middle. And where Rodri was, we could see him there in that second half. Every time the ball just sort of fell loose in the middle, Rodri's putting a foot in there, little pass out wide, and it made Chelsea's effort so much more difficult. And Kevin De Bruyne and Haaland today probably weren't at their best, but someone else scored. And that, effectively, I was saying at the beginning of the show, we don't need Haaland to score the winning goal. Because if we do, then things like tonight, things like other games where Haaland doesn't score, you end up with a draw. That could have been a draw, but it was like everyone did their bit, substitutions included, 1-0. It's the best win in football, 1-0, because it's always tight.
Yeah.
I'm really thrilled that Riyad Mahrez scored as well, because I think there's been perhaps some questions in the last few weeks about the significance of Haaland and how, being the only one that's really scoring regularly, certainly. And of course, Kevin De Bruyne felt perhaps a little bit off in the Everton game and perhaps in parts of the game tonight. So I thought it was really significant that the assist and the goal came from two different players, Shaun.
Yeah, absolutely right. I think there may have been some City fans when Grealish come on and may have thought, is Grealish going to up the level or take us to the next level? And this is where Pep knows he plays better than we all do. And Grealish has come on and gave that vital ball. He's come on, De Bruyne has given it to him. He's then put it across the face of the goal, and Mahrez has come in on the end of it. And I'm just thinking, beautiful. I'm so pleased because, again, I think there were some people that doubted Grealish coming on, for Foden, and he's once again has been able to assist in a big goal. And I just didn't see the calls coming from Pep. And whether you can get onto it or not, but Rico Lewis.
You go for it, Shaun. Well, whatever you want to say, you say it.
This kid, his decision making, I keep saying it. He gets in these little pockets. His ability to know where to occupy the space, sometimes in the middle, sometimes out wide. And again, he's just bouncing balls off 1 and 2 touch. It's like Iniesta. And I'm thinking this. I mean, Pep sees him every day. And first thing I thought was Pep's throwing him in a big game. And I thought, well, Walker hasn't played bad. Cancelo hasn't played bad, but he's decided to throw this kid in, and again, our game just went up. So right on to Rico Lewis. Listen, that right side, the quality of players we got sort of fighting for that position. Yeah. It's some serious competition.
Can I add to that? Because when he starts against Everton, and we were talking about it on the weekend, it was kind of like, OK, fine, he's had a couple of good games. We're thinking that Man City are going to easily win against Everton, therefore you can play Rico. At 0-0 in a game that you need to win, to make a change and put him in to win the game, and effectively he has helped win the game, is a big, big call and a testament to how good this young player is.
So Pep Guardiola's just done a post-match interview following the game in which he said that Rico Lewis has the ability to make players around him better. I mean, what an incredible compliment. We also had the under-18s manager, Ben Wilkinson, on with us for the Leeds game. And he told us on the show, and also off-air as well, Shaun, he was the praise that Rico Lewis was getting. He was saying he was one of the most intelligent players he'd ever worked with. Alex, I want to ask you, because he is a lifelong Blue. His family are all Blues. He's come through every stage of the academy. Now he's playing for his club. Of course, you are lifelong Blue playing for your club. That'll make it even more special for how well he's doing.
It does. It's great for the club as well because you've got Phil Foden, got Richards. So the other kids will see that as well and go, hey, we can do this as well. One of the interesting things I looked at as the players were coming off, Cancelo was on the pitch with all the players coming off and they were all putting hands around each other, patting each other on the back. which I think is really important, because sometimes if you get pulled off at half-time, you can be a little bit bitter and you might not want somebody who's taken your place to do as well. We don't seem to have that in this team. They all want to win and they all want everybody to succeed, and that's a really important thing if you want to be one of the best clubs in the world.
Yes. Pep's also said in his post-match interview that John Stones was absolutely brilliant today, and he's given them. He's trying to give him the nickname of the composer.
The composer?
Yeah. What do you think?
I thought it's one of these funny things, isn't it, in a game of football? If you've ever looked at the stats, there's a minute and a half when you're actually on the ball. So a lot of what you do most of it is off the ball. But that tackle against Pulisic effectively was a match-winning tackle. Yeah. Because Pulisic was in a perfect shooting opportunity. Of course, Ederson could have saved it, probably would have saved it, but the chances are he could have scored. So that tackle set the stall out for how Man City were going to defend today. They got the clean sheet. Ederson hasn't been forced into any dramatic saves, and therefore going into the next matches, obviously Chelsea in the Cup and more importantly Premier League games, teams will be going, this is a City side who are back to where they were before, which is hard to score against.
Yes.
It's a nice way when, and also as well the confidence that the midfield have. It's like, right, if we do this, at least they're behind us. Yeah. Then the forwards think, well, if we've still got a defensive unit behind us, we only need one.
Just quickly about that tackle with John Stones. This is something that kids that don't have experience, they make this error. He's right-footed, but he actually tackles with his left foot because the ball is actually on his left side. And so that fraction of a second that it takes to move his right foot to get it there as opposed to his left foot, that's the difference on how and why the time and why he ends up getting there. If he goes with his right foot, that fraction of a second, that means he doesn't get there. He gets the shot off. He potentially fouls him. All of those equations come into it. So that's an experienced player knowing that he's got to go with his left foot, puts a firm tackle in, times it brilliantly. And, we were saying off air, it's like, that's like a goal. That challenge there is like a goal because he's literally 7-8 yards out. Brilliant tackle by Stones.
And a tackle at a point in the game where we probably weren't playing particularly well as well, which makes it even more significant. I do just want to talk about our goal in terms of the goalkeeping, because it would be a miss having the two of you here not to ask about Kepa's parts or non-parts.
Yeah, I mean, I would more so say it was a good goal rather than a goalkeeping error, but being professional goalkeepers as we were, you look at any potential opportunities where you could have done better. And as the ball's been crossed, the movement of the goalkeeper was more that way and with the line of the ball rather than the cross. If he'd have probably dived out across the ball, he might just have cut that out. But, we've both done it, so who are we to complain?
It looked like he was focused on two actions, not the whole game or what was happening around him, i.e. that he's looking for the cross, what happens, seeing if the cross gets deflected or blocked, and then all of a sudden it was like, no, it hasn't, and then all of a sudden it's like, I don't know what's around me, it's going out for a goal kick. We've done that before. Yeah.
Well,
fortunately, he did it tonight.
Yeah. Not very often, I might add, have we?
But no, not often.
Of course not.
Usually in training.
Yes, of course. So,
sorry, me not being a goalkeeper, I thought he was looking for it to leave it and let it run out for a goal kick. That's what I thought. Because it looked as though, why is he not going forward? As Alex said, why is he not going forward? And I thought, he's thinking, this could run out, and we've got Mahrez in the far post, so.
It's a weird thing. You get this thing in your head where it's like, that's going to happen, neither have happened, or do I always going wide? Yeah. Rather than there's going to be a cross which I'm going to catch.
Yeah, whatever he's thinking, I'm happy.
Absolutely.
I'm happy.
Cost me points in fantasy, but I don't care.
Yes, me too. I'm happy. Following the game, Pep has remarked about the significance of this result, given the amount of big games that we have coming up. An FA Cup game again against Chelsea on Sunday, a League Cup quarter-final, then, of course, some big Premier League games in January as well. We will be playing Chelsea again on Sunday in the FA Cup third round. Of course, we beat Chelsea earlier on in the League Cup, and Stefan Ortega was man of the match that day. Fantastic performance from him that day. We meet them again in the FA Cup on Sunday. Only Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 days difference there, Shaun. Are you expecting a significantly different team from City?
Yes, I'd like to think so. listen, we've got quality. We got 2 quality players in every position. When I look back, we played Liverpool, we played Leeds, and then we played Everton. And the one thing I reflect on the Everton game, I thought, why wasn't our tempo there? And that's because you play Liverpool, it takes a lot out of you. You play Leeds, it takes a lot out of you. And that's my takeaway from the Everton game. And I think this game here will have taken a lot from us. So I think I would expect a few changes to freshen it up so we have that tempo. But hey, I try to think like Pep and I get it so wrong.
That's why he's in here now.
Alex, in terms of beating Chelsea in the Premier League this evening, playing them again on Sunday in the FA Cup, how does that bolster our confidence and perhaps does it affect theirs at all?
I think it'll affect them more so. You losing Pulisic, and you've got to say Sterling's got to be struggling for 3 days' time, 4 days' time, whatever it is. I don't think he'll have any effect on us with such a confident bunch of players. He knows he can swap and change the formation, stick players in, change them around, and they all know the jobs and will all go out and perform. So I don't see any issues from our end. If anything, the pressure will be on Chelsea because they've lost 2 really good players tonight. Yes, a couple came in and did quite well, but we shouldn't have anything to fear, hopefully.
I never like it when we end up, the cup draws come this way and we end up playing a team twice in a row. Is that ever happened in your career? And what's the kind of difference in the second game?
Well, it's interesting to say it because obviously the defeat for Chelsea now with regards to their Champions League qualification has put a big dent in it. It's obviously enhanced City's chances of winning the league. So all of a sudden, it's where the mindset is for Chelsea. Do they give up the cups to focus on the Champions League, in which case they would put massive changes in on the weekend, which would be beneficial towards Man City? Alternatively, they say we need to rectify where we are as a club, and they go strong, anticipating City making loads of changes. There's mind games left, right and centre. And I think with the injuries as well, they're going to make changes, or they're being forced into changes. But when you got the likes of Chukwuemeka, who came on, I thought was very good today. He'll probably start. Therefore, Pep's got to think to himself, what do we want to do? Well, we want to win everything.
As we always do.
Exactly. So it's kind of like they know that City are going to be strong, which means Chelsea are going to be strong. I just think you've got another fascinating game to look forward to. I don't have to make a prediction now because I can't see the starting lineups, but both teams, one team will always want to win every single game, but one team's focus is slightly dented now because of City's win, and that's Chelsea.
I mean, when I think about that game, our game coming up against them, I think they are a team that will be slightly dented because I think they went for it today. Yeah. The attacking players that they had, when they made the sort of 3 subs, they were going for it. And now they've also got a couple injuries, so that'll be a bit of a blow. But I think Pat will be in that dressing room and he'll be saying, that game's now gone. When we come to play them on Sunday, that game's gone. Listen, it's going to be tough and we've got to be at it.
It does. They do have a lot of injuries. It does feel like an ideal time to do a treble on Chelsea this season.
Why not?
Oh, I absolutely love that. Thank you so much for joining us on Matchday Live this evening. We do very much appreciate your company. Thank you to David. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Shaun. Alex, I do hope you'll come and join us again.
I will do. Yes, I will.
Shaun Goater, Alex Williams. Thank you so much for joining us. And breathe, everybody. We have started off 2023 in the ideal way, beating Chelsea 1-0 this evening. That goal from Riyad Mahrez. Of course, we will be back on Sunday for Matchday Live as we take on Chelsea again in the FA Cup. But for now, we're going to leave you with a little sneak preview of what's coming up in January on City Plus and Recast. Good night.
Je me rappelle vraiment pas quand j'étais vraiment petit. Et je me rappelle à partir de 4-5 ans, je jouais tout le temps. Donc voilà, il restait que moi et mon frère. Et moi, je savais que j'avais le foot et je savais que je pouvais faire quelque chose. Donc je me suis donné plus les moyens.
It's Kennedy who headed it, claims of a handball. Referee says no, City players absolutely certain, play goes on and they've scored anyway. Kelly again. Managed to get the cross in once more and there's Coombs and that's 1-1.
Dzeko! Oh, that's the best of the bunch! He has saved the best till last. Edin Dzeko with a sumptuous goal.